Thank goodness for PPF, or else I wouldn't have used the waterless wash. Also, I know that it is fall, but here in California, it is definitely still summer. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I've owned Ruby for a year and a half now. I can't believe it. And I wanted to go over a few reasons why I went for a Hellcat versus a Scat Pack. Also, for those of you that are new here, like, I didn't get this car to impress anybody. I didn't get this car to race either. Like, I could care less who beats me to like the red light, honestly. And I also wanted to mention, like, I don't look down at my peers that have like RTs or Scat Packs. Like, we're all part of the Mopar family, and at the end of the day, we're just brothers and sisters. So I never want to come off as like I'm hating on people with other cars. Like, I'm not that type of person, to be honest with you guys. I can care less about it. I really just love when people take pride in their cars. Like, to me, that's more important than what you drive, you know? This is my very first American muscle car, and it is my first Mopar. So when it came down to like the decision of like which one did I want to go with, and I finally had the opportunity to get a new like fun weekend car, I definitely considered both of those. So I want to go over a few reasons why I ended up going for the Hellcat. So let's start off with the technical differences. Starting off with the very distinctive double hood scoop on the Hellcat. That is different compared to the single scoop on the Scat Pack. You also have the SRT badges around the car instead of kind of like the Scat Pack B. You also have SRT on the wheels, the Brembo brakes. These are actually 6-piston in the front, and you have the 4 pistons in the back. I believe the Scat Pack has 4 pistons all around. You also have the Hellcat logo here, as well as here in the rear. There is also a slight difference when it comes to the spoiler. The Scat Pack does have a little bit of a dip here in the center, and you do get different wheels when it comes to the Hellcat versus the Scat Pack. Those are just some of the easiest ways to tell them apart just by a quick glance, and people that are not familiar with Mopar aren't going to be able to tell the difference anyways. But I can guarantee you that people are still going to be turning their heads regardless, and you can totally get away with getting an RT and making it look like a Hellcat. That's just personally not what I'm after. I just love how aggressive she looks. She definitely has a really great presence, and this is really one mean muscle car in my opinion. Performance is obviously where the Hellcat really shines. It comes with 717 horsepower versus the Scat Pack comes with 485. And even though both have Hemis, the Hellcat does come supercharged, so you'll definitely hear that whine in your everyday driving. And when it comes to 0 to 60, Hellcat is able to do that in 3.6 seconds versus the Scat Pack is able to do that in 4.6 seconds. So only a 1 second difference. And both come with Brembo brakes. Like I mentioned earlier, the front comes with like 6 pistons for the Hellcat versus 4 pistons for the front when it comes to the Scat Pack. And again, I want to reiterate that like the everyday average person is not going to be able to spot the difference or hear the difference when it comes to a Scat Pack versus a Hellcat. So they're both pretty cool. They're both going to turn heads. So yeah, I think that when it comes to performance, obviously the Hellcat is definitely going to shine there. There is a huge price difference when it comes to the Scat Pack versus the Hellcat. You're looking at $48,000 versus $80,000 base MSRP, and that is $32,000 difference, and that is a whole car within itself. And I just knew that if I had gotten the Scat Pack, I would have still spent more money to add more power into it, and I would have like slightly regretted not getting the Hellcat. So that's another reason. Also, I like had this idea that it's not original, by the way, but I just had this idea that I couldn't let go of, and that was to get a Hellcat the last call and drive it in the last year of its production. And I wanted to keep it for life, and I don't plan on selling her. And I just knew that like if I had gotten the Scat Pack, a part of me would have regretted not getting the Hellcat. And I know it sounds silly, but I just really wanted to drive one in its last year of production. And just a quick little side note, if you wanted to know how much like the total cost is of owning a Hellcat, go check out my previous video where I go way more into detail and I go talk about like all the numbers for that. So check that out whenever you have a chance. There was one major concern for me when it comes to the Scat, and it is you can't just add a lot more power to it without upgrading a few other things before it starts to become unreliable. So that means that it's going to take a lot more time, and you also have to find the right shop to be able to trust your baby with your car. Obviously, it's going to add more money to it, but yeah, like to me, I just didn't want to take that risk of leaving my baby in a shop's hands. And what if the shop had like poor quality of work, or they did an error and it ended up costing me my car? So that was something that was kind of, I was very hesitant to kind of go down that road. And also like the time that it was going to take if I left it at the shop, like to me that was just going to be a waste of money, because I wanted to enjoy the car immediately straight from the lot. So that was like another major factor that I kind of considered. Also, I'm not a mechanic, and right now I don't have the skill set. I also don't have the time currently to kind of learn a lot of that as well. So for me, it was just going to be a way better purchase when it comes to just performance straight from factory, and to get the Hellcat rather than get a Scat Pack. But like if I had the skill set, like that seems like a really cool like project. Again, I want to get a project car down the line. So when I have more time to learn, I would definitely want to do that. Again, it just comes all back to that concept of like, I was going to spend the money regardless if I had got the Scat and to purchase the parts, to the labor for it to get installed, versus the Hellcat. It was kind of like a one and done, and I can already enjoy it straight from the lot. So that was kind of a factor that I was considering. Now, the downside of a Hellcat is you're not always going to be using all 717 horsepower. To be honest with you, like I just like to take it out on the weekends and just get my zoomies out of the way. I'm not always pushing, you know, to the limit when it comes to this car, but eventually I would love to take Ruby to the drag strip. I think that would be so cool. Actually, even better, I would love to take lessons from Bradford. Now that would be like a once in a lifetime experience. I'm looking forward to doing that like down the line. And I did really consider getting a Scat Pack instead because they are affordable, they have really good performance, and the MPG is just there. But again, I didn't want to get a car just because of the fuel economy, and 2023 was just going to be the last year of production. So that was honestly one of the biggest pushes as to why I got the Cat. But if I had gotten the Scat Pack, like a part of me deep down would have still regretted not getting the Cat instead. Chargers versus Challengers, narrow bodies versus wide bodies. Listen, I think a lot of people have forgotten that the classic Challengers and Chargers were all narrow bodies. So I don't know why people kind of give a lot of hate to the narrow bodies now, because that's how the classics were. The wide bodies were something that was a little bit more modern now. And to be honest with you, I love how the classics look, and I just love how my Challenger is narrow body. I do love like that little fender on the side. I love when you look at it from dead on, it's just so slick, and the profile is just like, the overall silhouette is just classic. So that's why I ended up picking the Challenger over the Charger. But that was just my personal preference. I wanted to have those classic features, obviously with the modern performance attached to it. So I think for me, at the end of the day, like, one isn't better than the other, no matter what combo you ended up going with. It's just all aesthetics at the end of the day. And yeah, I think people need to kind of give the narrow bodies a little bit more love. I didn't get this car to be the fastest on the street. I'm not gonna be delusional and thinking like, oh, a Hellcat can be beat. I'm not out here racing either. I'm not gonna be racing everybody to the red light just to prove a point. That makes like absolutely no sense to me. I have a lot of friends that have RTs and Scat Packs, and not only are they their daily, but also they're their show cars. And honestly, they're super cool. And I think that we can all agree that like 300 to 500 horsepower is more than enough for the average person. No, I didn't need a Hellcat, but this is my first Mopar, and I just knew that I was going to baby this car, and I see it more of an investment, not only towards my happiness, but also towards my future, because I ended up making content for you guys. And I think like overall, I just wanted a performance car straight out of the lot that I could really enjoy. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Drive safe.